You're listening to an Anderson Entertainment production.
This episode,
there's gold in Fab Facts.
Safety is our primary concern in the Randomiser.
and action! Benjamin Field sets the scene for the new Gerry Anderson documentary.
Cool, that's all coming up in Pod 183.
Stand by, rolling of the Gerry Anderson Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is Christmas Control. Stand by. Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
The Gerry Anderson Podcast with Jamie Anderson and Richard James.
Well, hello and welcome.
Oh, thanks very much. Thought I'd join you.
You must be Richard James.
Yeah, well, that's right. And you're, I'm looking for Jamie Anderson. Is that you?
Correct, and that must
great.
make this the Gerry Anderson Podcast.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it.
So basically, if you're new here, you're now officially a Podsteron because we're in your ears and you're listening to the Gerry Anderson Podcast. But we come
No
here
choice
every
in the
week and we
matter.
no choice at all, especially not now. Don't take them out. Don't press pause. Don't stop. Keep listening. We talk about Gerry Anderson and stuff for about 90 minutes every single week, and we've done that for over 3 years. I don't know how or why, but we have. And every week we're joined by another fellow. Can you see him over there?
Yeah, what's he up to this week? That's Chris Dale, isn't it?
It is Chris Dale.
I recognise him. But
I'm slightly concerned that those little things that he's making appear to be voodoo dolls.
Yes, that's old one.
And on closer inspection, they appear to be of you and me.
You and me, yeah.
So I don't know what we've done to upset Chris.
No.
I don't think he's finished them yet. But when he does finish them, I'm sure we'll know about it when we have a sharp stabbing pain in our abdomens.
Oh, that's a slight worry, isn't it? Well,
Yeah.
Merry Christmas to you too, Chris.
So when Chris isn't up to his sinister voodoo activities, he's normally pressing the big red button on the randomiser where he chooses a random Gerry Anderson episode and watches it and comments and says funny and incisive things, and he'll be doing that later on at the end of this podcast, and that's why we call him the Randomister.
That's right. It was one of the reasons. Well, I suppose it is the reason.
It's the only reason, isn't it? Yes. But what else, other than the randomiser and our... I was going to say witless banter. Actually, that's fair enough. And our
that's
witless
probably
banter
true.
can Podsterons expect from the next 90-ish minutes?
A veritable cornucopia of Gerry Anderson goodness, no less.
Great.
We've got some news coming up because there's always something new happening in the Gerry Anderson universe. We've got... Okay, I'm going to say it. Fab Facts any moment now. We've also got the third part of Jamie's interview with Benjamin Field. Ben Field, producer, director, who's been, I suppose, marshalling you through the latest documentary, Gerry Anderson, Life Uncharted.
Yes, you could
How's
say
that going?
masterminding, in fact.
Yes.
It's going very well. I mean, as we said, I think last week, everything's wrapped on the documentary.
Yeah.
We're now into edit, and it's amazing. I mean, there's some funny bits, there's a lot of moving bits, a lot of stuff which you will not know, a load of uncharted elements, hence the title.
Right.
And a lot of things that will surprise you about him and about the shows. So lots to look forward to for April next year. But Ben will let you into a few more secrets later in this episode.
And above and beyond all that, of course, we'll be hearing from our lovely Podsterons who've been emailing us at podcast@gerryanderson.com. Yes, they do it every week. They've been posting on their Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Podsterons. And they've been hashtagging us on Twitter, hashtag Gerry Anderson Podcast, and tagging me, I did it again, tagging me, Richard N. James, him over there, I'm Jamie Anderson.
Yes, correct.
And him right over there with the voodoo dolls and that very sharp long pin at Chris Dalek.
Okay, watch where you're sticking that, Chris. Good advice for life, that. Right,
Quite.
Richard James, I think it's time for some Fab Facts before we say anything incriminating and before Chris stabs our voodoo dolls. So are you ready?
God, yes, quick!
Okay, here they come. Here it comes even. It's a Fab Fact.
Now, time for this week's Fab Facts.
In fact, I'm a bit worried now that we've called it Fab Facts for so long, and I've only just realised that each week there's only one, so it
One
should be
Fab
just
Fact.
called Fab Fact.
Fab Facts,
rather than Fab Facts.
Well, too late now, I think.
It's too late to go and fix that. Anyway, Fab Facts, the erroneously named segment of this podcast, is where I flick through a book of Fab Facts only to find one Fab Fact.
True.
That happens thusly. I will flick, Richard will shout Fab, which will make me stop on a random page. I'll read you the random Fab Fact from the random page, and you will find it fab and factual.
Okay, well, here's hoping.
That's the sort of threats, really. So, Richard, are you ready with your fab?
You will find it factual. Yes, I'm ready.
I'm ready with my facts. Here you go.
Fab.
Ooh,
What have I done?
A rare visit to the publishing section.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So, Richard, Podsterons, and newbie listeners, perhaps, have you heard of Little Golden Books for Children?
I have not, no.
Oh, well, I'm not surprised because you're far too young, Richard James, but I am, of course, referring to the popular series originally launched in 1942 by Simon & Schuster, currently owned by Random House. They're called Golden Books because of their golden spines. And they were known for being durable enough for use by early readers, but not quite so durable that they might make a dangerous projectile.
All right.
Yeah, can't have a spine that's too firm on these things, you know. Some of their titles include children's classics such as Scuffy the Tugboat and, of course, The Pokey Little Puppy.
The Pokey Little Puppy?
The Pokey Little Puppy, yes. I'm sure we've all read that. But did you know that, at one time, Gerry Anderson's series were featured in the ranks of the Golden Books?
Oh.
Well, I do, because I've actually got a copy of one here.
I bet you have.
After the phenomenal success of Supercar in the US, the American publishers printed a Supercar Golden Book that sold in 1962 for the princely sum of, wait for it, 29 cents. I know.
Money in those days.
That was probably, exactly. That's probably a week's salary then.
Yeah.
Written by George Sherman, who is best known for writing several children's storybooks and comics for Disney. This adventure concerned a rocket invented by Professor Popkiss and Dr. Beaker, misspelt Beaker, I believe, EE, which was promptly hijacked, of course, by Master Spy. Doubtless this was the inspiration for the rocket snatching of Spectre in the James Bond film You Only Live Twice, I'm sure. Maybe not. That's not our official legal position, I hasten to add. Mike, Jimmy and Mitch go on a global search for the rocket, which leads them to Master Spy, who has a knockoff supercar called the Thunderbolt.
Oh, really? I'd like to see that.
Interestingly. It was lavishly illustrated by Mel Crawford. The supercar book paved the way for a Fireball XL5 title in 1964. That one, written by Barbara Shook Hazen, which is a great name.
Like it.
That story featured Commander Zero's son, Jonathan Zero, I guess, a precursor to Joe 90, as well as the regular cast. And in 2017, the original artwork for that little golden book was sold at auction for a little golden cash.
Was it?
It was sold for $8,000.
Okay.
So there
that's
you go.
A bit of
that's
investment.
Not bad, is it?
29 cents. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow. Bit of return on your money.
So, Podsterons, did you own either of these children's books, or are you indeed the lucky winner of the 2017 auction for the artwork? Do let us know. Email us podcast@gerryanderson.com. What did you think of them? Did you love them? Were they a bit childish? Did you like the artwork? We'd love to know your thoughts.
That's interesting. We don't normally think of Gerry Anderson stuff being sort of, in book form, but of course their stories were so visual. You can absolutely see them working as a series of children's books.
Oh,
and I know some of them, were adapted, but they were never huge, were they, in the publishing world?
No, I mean the comics were obviously, but that's a much more heavily visual medium. But all of the annuals feature little, written stories with limited number of illustrations. So it has worked for a long time. And as we know from Nick Briggs' fantastic Thunderbirds 4 Hours to Eternity.
Oh yes.
The books and audiobooks work extremely well because it's amazing how sound effects and just the style of storytelling and the familiar character names and vehicles and stuff take us right back in our mind's eye.
Yeah, true.
So there you go. I think that's rather lovely. If you have any other book thoughts from across the decades, we'd love to know your thoughts. Do email us podcast@gerryanderson.com or share your thoughts on the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/podsterons.
There you go.
I'm not sure about that weird emphasis there, but there we go. I think that brings us very neatly to the end of this week's Golden
Fact.
Oh,
Golden Fact.
Golden
yes.
book, golden little gold
I
books.
want to know. You say the spines were golden, and that's but what came first, the title or the spines? Little golden books, golden spine. Well,
This is
did they
very
look at the
chicken and
spine?
egg, isn't
Aha.
it?
Well, there we are. Perhaps you should leave that one for another day. You are listening, of course, to the Gerry Anderson Podcast. Do us a really big favour. Subscribe to us.
Hang on.
Platform you're listening to us
It's
on.
not
What?
that big a favour.
Well, it seems to be, because I know there are lots of people who listen
Yes.
who aren't subscribers.
This is true.
Now, the benefits of subscribing, of course, mean that you get a notification every time a new episode appears, which means you don't have to miss a single pod. You can also leave us a nice review and a rating wherever you're listening to us on, and even copy and paste the link into all your socials and let people know that you're enjoying the Gerry Anderson Podcast.
Yes, no one will mind a little white lie there, so just tell them it's the best thing you've ever heard and that they should listen to.
Exactly. Now, some of our listeners have been in touch. Would you like to hear some of their emails?
Actually, right now, there is nothing I would love
Yeah.
more than to hear that, so
Good.
please do
Well,
go ahead.
That's a relief. Daniel Dudley, for example, says, "Hi there, Jamie and Richard. Will there be Blu-ray releases of Supercar, Fireball XL5, Captain Scarlet, both versions, Joe 90, in other territories like Australia and America in the future?"
It's not something that we can control, annoyingly. Really, you've got to look for DVD and Blu-ray distributors in your territory that you think handle this sort of material. So, if they do science fiction, they do cult TV, find out who they are. People like Madman in Australia, for example, and just email them, pester them and say, why aren't you doing this? I'd love to see this.
Yeah.
And with enough volume of clamour.
Yeah.
That sounds a weird way to say it,
The
but you know what I
volume
mean.
of clamour.
But it's a
Series
Doctor Who
2, I
adventure,
think.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
If you make enough noise, then it's more likely to happen. We're always pushing for it, and we're always happy to help those distributors make these deals happen. But for now, I know it goes slightly against licensing kind of rules, but I would say just get yourself a multi-region Blu-ray player. It's the best thing to do, because I think really this regional licensing thing is going to go away over the next 10 years. So you might as well just circumvent it for now. But you didn't hear that from me, right?
No, not a word. Mark Perkins has got in touch to say, "Hi guys, I often think of things to send an email about, but as I listen to your excellent podcast when I'm out for a run, I've often forgotten what it was I wanted to say by the time I get home. But this week, I've managed to remember." He says, in the Captain Scarlet handbook, there's a unique mention in a text story of an angel pilot who, as far as I know, was never mentioned anywhere else. Modesty Angel.
What a terrible name!
Which sounds like a range of underwear, doesn't it? Anyway, he says that he's attached a photo of the story, and he says, "I often wondered where this came from. Perhaps Modesty Angel starred in an early script for the show, but was later rejected as a name. I know tie-in materials were sometimes prepared before the TV shows were completed, so that might explain it. Perhaps other Podsterons know more."
Well, I certainly don't, but I'm not a Podsteron technically, I guess. So, yeah, we'd love to know if you spot any more of those. But come on, Modesty. It sounds like they've sort of licensed the angels for some sort of religious celibacy campaign in the 1960s. And oh no, you want to be like Modesty Angel?
Yeah, oh gosh,
yeah.
Right.
Bit of an odd one.
He says, "I think this handbook was free if you sent off enough wrappers from Barrett's Sweet Cigarettes. Can you imagine such a product on sale today? I remember as an 8-year-old thinking how grown up I looked pretending to smoke." Yes, Mark, I remember that as well. "I was interested in the discussion of the randomness of random," he continues, "as in a previous life I worked as a mathematician. I've created my very own Super Marination watch list based on the pioneering work of our very own Chris Dale. In my version, I watch one Super Marination show with my breakfast every day of the week.
Wow.
Each week has to have 7 shows from the same series, and the next week has to be a different show. With the aid of my random number key on my calculator, I had great fun compiling a list, and I now have over 30 weeks of watching until I reach the end. Yeah, as ever, thanks for your marvellous work to keep Gerry's ideas alive. The most almost accidental spin-off of creating the Podsteron group of like-minded fans is something I'm sure would have made your dad very proud, as it's a very welcoming, friendly and accepting place." Mark also says, "I'm looking forward to seeing everyone in Birmingham. Any news about a possible live podcast?"
Well, thank you for all the nice things there and the kind words.
Yeah.
We've talked about it, but we just haven't arranged it because we've both been too busy, really, and it's a long way ahead. But it'll race up, so we should definitely further consider things.
I mean, we'll be there, wouldn't we? I'm assuming we'll both be there.
Yes.
Chris will be there.
I hope so. Yes.
Yeah. So
If we're not there, then something's gone wrong.
That's right, yeah. Steve says, hi, I'm enjoying the weekly podcasts immensely, especially the Randomiser. I love Chris's sense of humour. I was wondering about the opening and closing music used, especially what appears to be a remix of the music used in the Captain Scarlet episode, White as Snow. Is that available anywhere to download? Kind regards from Steve.
Didn't we make the music available from the podcast to download at some point? I can't remember when or how or what happened.
It's out there.
But yeah, a
out there,
Podsteron in
Steve,
the group will know.
Yeah, exactly. If you're a member of the Facebook group, they'll certainly know and they'll help you out. But I'm sure it's, it was available as a ringtone and all sorts, so it must be on iTunes or something.
Yes.
Mustn't it?
Who knows where it is? Maybe we should release it on Spotify or something.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, all for now, but do keep them coming in, especially over the Christmas period. We love to hear your Christmas wishes. Let us know what you're up to over the Christmas week and New Year and so on. Just send it all into podcast@gerryanderson.com.
We look forward to hearing from you. Richard James, as you've already mentioned, there's always new Gerry Anderson things happening. So would you like to hear about some of those in a segment we call the Gerry Anderson News?
I would love to.
Okay, then. Here is that there Gerry Anderson News. It's the Gerry Anderson
News.
Yes, I quite like joining in with that now.
I
used to despise it a couple of hundred years ago, but now I've come to love it. Richard James, you're a absolutely massive Space 1999 fan, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Good. So you should know very well by now that the Space 1999 Moonbase Alpha Technical Operations Manual Special Edition is on its way to you. Well, you in particular. Yeah, you're getting one.
Yeah.
But if you've ordered one, it may even already be with you, which is very exciting, and I hope you love it. Do share your pictures on social media. If you haven't got it yet, that may be because it just hasn't been processed yet. We've got to pack all these special editions very carefully and make sure you get everything. And, inside you'll find that there's a letter from Commissioner Simmons and some bloke called Deputy Commissioner Jamie Anderson. I don't know who that is.
Right.
But they're individually numbered, and the number on the letter should match your ID card that's also in there. So it's very cool. It's a really cool set. But once those are processed, the standard editions will also be on their way. Now, if you ordered in the first print run, which sold out, you'll get it fairly soon. The second print run is coming in mid-December, and we'll process those as quickly as possible. If you are outside the UK, we can't guarantee those second print run books will be with you in time for Christmas, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
We're just totally hamstrung by logistics and worldwide shipping problems and delays, but the team are working their hardest to get them to you. The same goes for the Eagle Moss Laboratory Eagle, which is in and shipping now, and the red and purple editions of the Moonbase Alpha uniform cosplay tops, which are also shipping. It's very exciting. There's lots of stuff that's all coming at once. UFO Comic Anthology is arriving on the 15th of December, subject to any, hopefully, no further delays, and will be turned around and processed ASAP. Same with the Thunderbirds calendar. Goodness me. Peril in Peru, if you ordered that, the CD version, it should now be in your hands or certainly on the way to you. And if you're a cycling fan, did you see, Richard, the very cool Hoob cycling jerseys?
Fantastic. I mean, I might take up cycling just so I can wear them.
You're not the only person who said that. Yes, they are very, very cool. Now, if you're not into cycling, we are looking at potentially doing some non-cycling T-shirts in a similar design because they seem to have gone down so well. But they are shipping now. Great working with Hoob, the cycling and triathlon gear company. Dean and his team there have been fantastic and so enthusiastic. It's been great. Now, it's obviously Christmas coming up very, very soon.
Yes.
We've only got one more pod before Christmas, and that's next week for a very Terry Christmas.
Well, you've spoiled it. You see, that was going to be my news item.
Oh, sorry.
Or let's pretend you didn't say it. No,
okay.
Sorry,
I didn't say that. No, that's fine.
No.
But the Christmas cut-off for shipping, I would recommend if you want to get stuff in the UK that you definitely order by the end of this week. So that would be, the 17th of December? Absolute latest. After that, I mean, even with that, we can't guarantee just because of the way things are with logistics. It used to be the case that if you used a guaranteed next day service, it would get there the next day. But with the Christmas volumes and stuff, and how the world is currently, I don't think those can be guaranteed. So don't miss out. Grab stuff by the end of this week. Now, Richard James, have you got any news of your own there?
Well, I do. I have a secret about next week's podcast, which I know you'll want to hear. Yeah. So now, a few years ago, it must be 2 years ago, we had a big old get-together, didn't we, for our Christmas podcast with the QI Elves. Do you remember?
Yes, with lovely Alex and
That's right.
And Lee Sullivan.
Yes, and then last year, because everything changed, we had Terry Adlam just sending us in some gags, some Christmas cracker Gerry Anderson themed jokes, if you remember. Well, this year things are a little better, aren't they? So I've invited, and he's delighted, I know, to hear this, I've invited Terry round to my garage to join us for next week's special Christmas edition of the Gerry Anderson podcast. So once again, it will be a Terry Christmas.
A very Terry Christmas. Now, how could he possibly refuse an offer from you?
Exactly.
Terry, would you like to come to my garage?
I'll tell him to wrap up warm. Now, of course, if you don't know, Terry Adlam, of course, goes way back in the worlds of Gerry Anderson.
He does.
A creator and writer for Dick Spanner, also the audio Terrorhawks as well for Big Finish and Anderson Entertainment. So full of stories. If you have anything you'd like to ask Terry, well, send it in, podcast@gerryanderson.com, and we can ask him in the flesh.
Yes, but do hurry, because we will be recording our Christmas episode slightly early, so that everyone gets a little bit of time off. So get them in now.
Yeah.
Right now. Come on, we're waiting.
Yeah, come on. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, they're at it. Yeah.
There you go. There's the question. Okay, so that's it, I think, isn't it? Are you done?
Sure you didn't? Have you not got any? You were mentioning a little thing before the news item that you were going to.
Was I?
Yeah.
I forgot.
Your hip. You're not going to mention that?
Oh, my bad hip.
No.
Yeah. No, I don't. I don't want to moan about things.
So okay. Well, don't mention it.
I don't want any sympathy, but
well, that must be it. That must be it then.
Anyway, it's a bit sore. Anyway, that brings us to the end of this week's Gerry Anderson news.
That was the news. Very sore news.
It is quite sore, but I don't want to go on about it. All right.
No, plainly. Now, over at our Facebook group, well, the Podsterons have been busy. They've been sharing pictures of their latest model building and their cosplay and their artwork. Some people have been buying stuff from the Gerry Anderson store and have been posting pictures when it arrives. Others have been joining in with quizzes and Zoom meetings and streams of old Gerry Anderson shows as well. And Steve Beresford posted regarding the podcast and breaking laws. Now, this is a recent FAB Fact, I think, about the plane which may or may not have fallen foul of the law by flying under a motorway bridge. Well, he says not exactly law-breaking, but there's a time during filming Thunderbird's Attack of the Alligators when the RSPCA turned up to check on said animals' welfare and ended up advising the team to turn the electric charge up to encourage the guys to move.
He did. When they were worried that he was going to tell them off. I think, doesn't Peter Holmes tell that story back in pod 46 or something like that? I think I always say 46 when I can't remember what number it is.
It's a good standby, isn't it? Yeah. Dean Harrison says, I just went for my COVID booster jab and they send you off to numbered pods to be jabbed. It made me smile because I got pod number 2.
Nice.
But then later on he said, I'm sure they only used a tiny needle, but this morning it feels like they used the mole. Well, I hope you're feeling better now, Dean. Well done for getting your COVID booster as well. Ian Stevens says, well, productive Saturday so far. Christmas decorations are up, and I've only gone and ordered myself the 2 new jigsaw puzzles. I don't know if it's just me, but I do love a jigsaw puzzle, and the new Thunderbirds and Space 1999 ones look gorgeous. Hope there might be more to come, such as UFO, Stingray, and Captain Scarlet. Question mark.
Well, who knows? We'll have to see how these ones go first, I guess. But no, they are rather lovely. Great work by Lee Sullivan. Lovely, specially commissioned pieces just for those puzzles, and available now from, would you believe it, shop.gerryanderson.com. That's strange, isn't it?
You don't say. Robert M. Cassidy posted organised crime, a president in danger, and a monorail train speeding towards certain doom. It's just an average day for Lieutenant Brogan and the officers of Precinct 44 East. Yes. The last Saturday, on the 11th of December, the Podders Episode Club discussed Space Police, the unsold and unaired pilot, which eventually became Space Precinct almost a decade later. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, Robert. Finally, Tom Hodden says, right, let's settle this once and for all. How do you pronounce UFO? Is it UFO or is it UFO?
Well, it depends. If you're an American character inside the series, I suspect UFO. But the production team and everyone else called it UFO, I believe. Right. I'm happy to be corrected if anybody has additional information that they'd like to provide.
No, I think, I think you're in the right ballpark, because 71 votes for UFO and only 14 votes for UFO. So,
well, there you go. You've all been told.
Oh, I see what you did there. Now, talking of Tom Hodden...
Yeah, as you often do. Oh, no, I know what this means.
And, we're approaching Christmas. And
Yes.
I know, Jamie, it's sometimes a stressful time. I don't know if you
it is when Tom Hodden's around.
Yeah, you're right. Well, here's something rather cathartic for you. Let's have Tom Hodden's Quick Fire 5.
No, it's not cathartic. Yes.
So this week we're having a fight. Which of these would win in a fight? Number 1, crab logger versus giant alligator.
Gosh, I'm going to go crab logger, actually.
Okay, Captain Black versus the Hood.
Oh, that's really hard.
Isn't it?
Captain Black, just.
Okay. Mitch versus Zero.
What?
That's a match I'd like to see.
I hope Zero.
Okay, Virgil Tracy versus Troy Tempest.
Ooh, Virgil. Yeah, Troy would be distracted by some lady at the sidelines.
And Tony Vedecci versus Commander Koenig.
Oh, Koenig, I think. Tony's too nice.
There we are. That's this week's Quick Fire 5. Thanks again to Tom Hodden.
Yes.
there
Thanks,
you
Tom.
go.
I really mean that. Thanks. Underlined, involved.
Like
Thanks.
I do like putting you on the spot. Maybe we'll have a special Christmas Quick Fire 5 next week.
We can but hope not.
Indeed. There we are. So, yes, do join in all the fun at the Podsteron's bar and group over on Facebook. Facebook.com/groups/Podsterons.
Marvellous.
I'll be delighted to see you. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's all very good. Thank you. Have you got any more, or should we?
No.
Should we invite a guest in?
Yes. Let's hear from someone else, quick.
Oh, that's much needed relief for our poor Podsterons. So this week it's part 3 of my chat with Benjamin Field. Ben is the director-producer of Gerry Anderson Life Uncharted, a new documentary coming to BritBox and other platforms next year from mid-April, and it tells the previously untold, uncharted life of the man who created so many of the shows that you love, and the reason you're here, probably, and the reason I'm here, and the reason Richard's here, so weirdly. I mean, we all owe him a great deal. To fully understand him, we've gone into this painstakingly researched documentary, and you're going to learn many things you had no idea about. You're going to learn things about the shows that you wouldn't have realised, and you're going to, I think, generate a whole new appreciation for the entire world of Gerry Anderson, everything that inspired him and motivated him, and why he did what he did. I can't overstate, really, how many new stories and new things we've discovered. So Ben is here in his final part, 3 of 3, to tell us all about how and why we've done it, people we've spoken to, people we haven't spoken to, and what you might expect. So over to Ben for part 3.
Jamie, how many minutes of deepfake audio did we record last week?
I can't remember now, but it was quite a lot. About an hour?
No, it was 32 minutes.
Oh, there you go.
3 times as much.
Yes, it was a lot.
And the most incredible thing is, so the way that deepfakes work is that a computer, essentially, to oversimplify, a computer learns what Gerry's face looks like, and it recreates it from scratch, given an understanding that the computer has what a face looks like. So essentially, we taught it what Rolly's face looked like, and we taught it what Gerry's face looked like. And then we told the computer to make an image of Gerry's face, what that would look like if it was pulling the same face that Rolly is currently doing.
Yeah.
So make Gerry's face look like what Rolly's face is doing. And so it matches it frame by frame. So it does 24 frames per second. So that means that Rolly has to lip sync exactly to the audio so that the AI can match Rolly's face.
Yeah.
So if the lips weren't in the right place, then it doesn't look like Gerry is saying the words that he's actually saying. So for 32 minutes, Rolly had to lip sync exactly, precisely, with every but, pause, delay, breath.
Yeah.
He has to match exactly what Gerry said in the interviews. Now, if you've ever done karaoke, now, Jamie, are you a big karaoke fan? I think you are. If you've ever done karaoke, you know how difficult it is to be exact on things. And that's with music and with well-known songs and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
What we got Rolly to do was do all of that, but with barely, we gave him 3 weeks to know all this stuff, and then we gave him an auto cue. And I tell you what, watching him nail 56 clips pretty much on the money for 2 days. It took us 2 days to film 56 clips with an auto cue. It was just the most incredible thing to watch, just a performer do. And I hold my hat off to him. He's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
But just to watch that is absolutely amazing. So coming back in, I hold my hat off to him. I think he's absolutely incredible. And then we watched. I almost got emotional just thinking about it. And then I watched the opening. So when there's going to be a trailer that comes out for this documentary shortly,
hopefully soon,
hopefully soon, within the next 4 to 6 weeks. And the first clip came back. The first element of deepfake came back, and it's the clip that we're using at the very opening of the trailer.
Yeah.
And it arrived to me 3 or 4 days ago, and it just felt perfect.
Yeah.
We'd done it, because we've been trying to get this deepfake right, because nobody knows how to make bloody deepfakes like this. Honestly, I don't think anybody's really done what we're trying to do. And if they have, I haven't seen it, and nobody seems to have seen it before. So we really are trying to do something that's never been done before. And it's a bit like finding your way in the dark. You try everything. And we've been working on this since the beginning of June with a very talented chap called Christian Darkin, who is sort of really helping us find our way through. But he doesn't have a history of working with it either. So we're all trying to make this happen for the first time. And we've put an awful lot of pressure on ourselves and on him. And then it came through the other day. And I can feel it. It's like a little lump in my throat. It's really, really rather remarkable. And I watched it and went, we've done it. And I sent it to you. Yeah. And it was the first time you had given an immediate reply of pleasure off the back of it, because all the others, Jamie, I've seen elements of it where you go, okay, that kind of works if we do this and all the rest of it, and Jamie comes back having watched the same clip and goes, well, it doesn't look anything like him there. So, I know it doesn't look anything like him there, but look, there's 6 frames here where it does. And can you not take the positive? And Jamie,
I am my father's son.
Yes, you're a pain in the backside. I love you dearly. Honestly, at the point that came back and there was nothing wrong with it.
No, it just works. Just felt like him.
If I could have shared it online that day, the response to it would have blown up. And I cannot wait to put a trailer out for this, because the response we're going to get to it is just incredible. Yeah.
Actually, Ben, the tragedy is that it's so good that a lot of people won't know it's deepfake.
They bloody will, because I'll put it all over the internet. Look, this deepfake.
But that is the thing. That when that clip came through, I immediately sent it to Mark Willard, to Nick Briggs, to a load of people that knew him, to get their response, and it was universally positive. So,
I sent it to Craig, who essentially commissioned this from BritBox.
Who's the head of editorial for BritBox UK, who's been a great supporter of this documentary. So thank you, Craig.
Oh, he's wonderful. I like him a lot. I'm going to just read to you what he sent me after he watched it. And he said, just realised that it's actually not in a text message, it was a WhatsApp message, so I'm looking in completely the wrong place. Wow, looking so good, very impressive.
Yes.
Good luck with the rest. So, which, given the fact that we've only got another 31 and a half minutes to make, and God, I hope it looks as good as this, because it's just special. So I'm very excited by it. Very excited.
Yeah, but now we know it's working and it's looking convincing and it feels right. Then I think we're in a really, really good position. I can't wait to see more of them come through. And there is a very spooky, but in a good way. Now, spooky is not the right word.
No, because
no, but I'm not talking about the deepfake itself. I'm talking about how the devices we use to frame it and to show that Dad is not really there. Which again, I don't want to spoil, but Ben and I have a lot of on the road, hands-free phone calls, late night calls, exchanges of WhatsApp messages, exchanging ideas, which is, I think, why this doc will work really well, I hope, because of the kind of collaborative approach. But there's a particular device we've used to show the deep fake and explain it that I think will,
and that, I mean, I think this is probably very worthwhile saying, actually, is that so you and I get lovely titles. We get sort of producer titles. We get, I'm very fortunate. I get a lovely director title, but a title isn't everything, and I don't think it reflects the work that goes on a production like this. Yes, we get to make decisions and we get to action things, but we would be absolutely nothing without the team that we have around us. And the decisions that we get to act upon, they're not all our things that we've brought to the table. Other people bring ideas and half-formed thoughts to us and say, can we do this? Should we do this? I mean, Ash Knowlton, who's our DOP, he's been absolutely fantastic at bringing ideas to us and allowing us to try different techniques of bringing in some beautiful shots and so on. And so, I would love to think that this is very much a team effort that has brought the shots to fruition and brought this documentary to life. I mean, you've got researchers on your side that have brought things to us that we wouldn't have spotted otherwise because there just simply isn't time. I've got a wonderful edit assistant with me here at the moment who is finding bits out of interviews that I don't have time to find. We've just been so well supported by the teams we've got around us, and I think it's only fair to pay tribute to those for the work that they're doing as well, because it really, which is
actually perfectly in the spirit of all things Anderson. Again, things that people brought up in interviews about the way Dad worked and brought teams together, which I think is a huge part of the success. Now, I keep getting questions, Ben, saying, "Oh, what about ... another contributor? Be that Derek Meddings, be that Barry Gray, be that Sylvia, all that sort of stuff. How are we including those people or not? And if not, why?" And I don't mean very specifically, are you putting that person in? I mean, really the key for me is this is the Gerry Anderson story. That's not saying nobody else did anything and he did it all. That is absolutely not what we're saying. But, how do we deal with that?
No, I think that's, well, I think to start with, we should say that we have invited absolutely everybody we can think of that is in some way connected to Gerry, to your dad, to play a part in this documentary. There are obviously limits to what we can do. We can't force anybody to take part, but we have reached out. Oh God, there's a horrible LA expression that people say to me, and I want to punch them. No, we have sent emails and phone calls to people to ask them to be part of the documentary if they would like to be. Now, some of those emails and phone calls have gone unrequited. We've had nothing back at all. Some people have declined to be part of it for either personal reasons or maybe professional reasons. Those reasons are not often, they're not always relayed to me. They just know I don't feel that I'm able to be part of it.
Sadly, health and age reasons in a couple of cases too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're personal reasons. So, but I don't think that we've discriminated against any person that your dad knew in trying to get their story on screen. Having said that, this is Gerry Anderson's life, and we are telling Gerry Anderson's story, and that is Gerry Anderson's story from his perspective. Now, what that doesn't mean is that we are only telling things that he says to be true. We have opposing views on things that he says about his life from other contributors. And they will give an idea of whether or not they think there is much credence to Gerry's perspective. So we're not saying that everything that Gerry says is factually accurate. We have a number of contributors who will either confirm or deny that certain things he said happened or happened in the way that he says that they did. Now, obviously, there is quite a bit of what's the word I'm after? There's sort of elements of, there are different viewpoints and different stories that have happened over Gerry's life. And I don't feel that I'm hugely qualified to speak about those because I don't know them. I don't know them well enough. But I am very much aware that they exist. And so I have personally tried to connect with people to get those opposing opinions and opposing views on camera. And I haven't been able to get to succeed in doing that. But instead, I have looked at including archive material that has been given to us where people have discussed those subjects and those matters. And I've gone through a huge amount of archive to try and grab onto the strands that they talk about that correlate with what Gerry talks about. Yeah. And I've tried to include those. And in fact, I'm midway through some archive tapes at the moment, trying to get those views and opinions on screen. But it's very difficult to include every strand because unless I've got Gerry talking about them in a way that I can bring somebody else to talk about them as well, it's very difficult to actually include all those stories on screen, given the limited amount of time that we have. But we're certainly not telling a story just because it might be uncomfortable.
The only person who was there for his entire life was him. And so we have, people who were part of his life in perhaps a major way for sometimes several decades, but they weren't there for the whole time. And so that is, for me, the main reason the focus is on Gerry Anderson and A Life Uncharted. Is not to remove anybody else from the equation or give him credit where credit's not due, anything like that. And he himself talks about encouraging people, working with people, contributions from others, and so do our contributors. But and we've included those. Those are I have lifted parts of the edit out specifically to focus on other people's contributions and so on, because he did seem to work quite collaboratively. And in fact, we only did an interview the other day where somebody said that was exactly how he did work. And I think that's very valuable. Well, we'll talk about when and how people can see it in a second. But how do you think watching this documentary might shift somebody's perspective on the shows they know and love? One might say a warts and all documentary could negatively impact somebody's perception of these shows. We're not setting out to wreck anybody's childhoods here. And in fact, I think it'll give you a deeper understanding of the shows. Yeah,
I don't think it does. I mean, I think people from all walks of life make television programs. And I think all this does is it shapes those shows. It tells you where that person was in their life at the point those shows got made. And really, I mean, if you think of, there's examples I can give, and I'm not going to give them as specifics, but UFO stands out as one. Thunderbirds, there are elements of Thunderbirds that stand out. Yeah. Supercar probably does as well. And you sort of, you look at them. Yes. I think it makes you look at them more fondly because you realize that there is actually a delicacy to, I don't mean delicacy like a fine wine or particularly good chocolate.
A delicateness.
I mean, a delicateness to it. That's definitely a word. Yeah, there is a delicate nature to the way that these shows are constructed, and they're not accidental. He may not have known how they got made or why they were in his brain, but they were definitely there for a reason. And what this documentary does quite well, I think, is let you in to that mind and to that mindset psychology of Gerry Anderson.
The secrets of his creativity.
Oh, damn it. Why didn't we call it Gerry Anderson, A Secret Psychology? Why didn't we call it
too late
that?
now, the name's out there.
Too late now. Shall I message Craig?
No,
yeah, right. Craig changed it.
maybe we'll get to do a part 2.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing this come together over the next few weeks. Are we allowed to say who the composer is?
Yes.
That's exclusive, isn't it? Because that hasn't been announced anywhere.
No.
So, well, we're very pleased to say that the composer for this, who will be doing an entirely bespoke score, is Crispin Morel, who was Dad's composer of choice from Space Precinct onwards. Dad was a huge fan of his. Crispin felt very close to Dad. Crispin played some fantastic pieces for Dad's funeral and wake. Very close friend of the family.
I can't wait. I really, really can't wait.
Yeah.
It feels like working with a celebrity.
Yeah. Well, he is great, but he has probably the strongest emotional connection of any composer out there in the world to Dad's work and to him as a person. So there was no better person. So I'm very pleased that Crispin is joining us, and I think really that'll be the cherry on the icing on the cake.
The cherry on the icing, or the icing on the cherry, depending on which way you prefer. Because I don't actually like.
This is like Devon versus Cornwall now. Anyway, Ben.
Well, the other before you kick me off, I think there is one other
I'm getting ready to do.
We ought to discuss. I'm really excited about this. Is one of the things that we're discussing, and I'm sure that we can talk about this. One of the things we're discussing for next year are our little Q&As that we're going.
Yeah, well, you can talk about that then. Go for it.
Oh, is that? Oh, you see, he sounds like he doesn't.
No,
care,
not at all.
But he absolutely does.
No, I think they'll be great.
He's more excited about this.
I think they'll be great because as well as telling the story on the screen, we then get to tell the story of the story off screen.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to host in 2022 a number of live screenings, which is a bit of a misnomer, but we're going to do a number of live screenings across the country with Q&As at it. So it'll be hosted by somebody, and Jamie and I will turn up to the venue, watch the film again, because we won't have seen it by then, and then we will be available at your disposal to do a live Q&A session, so you'll understand all about the bits that didn't make it into the documentary, and we might be more candid, because it won't be recorded for posterity. And I just think that's going to be such a special thing to be part of, and I can't wait. Yeah,
so we hope to see lots of you around the country, dates and locations to be confirmed, to be announced.
That means that you and I have to actually spend more time together.
I know, as if we won't have had enough.
People already think that we're brothers.
Yes, yeah. Well, we can tell you the story of the brothers thing at the Q&As as well, because they're absolutely fascinating.
Because we look so similar.
Yeah, two baldies basically. So yes, do keep an eye out on dates and locations and stuff. We'll try and get around the country as much as possible so that everyone's got an opportunity to come and see it and hear firsthand about the stuff that didn't make it in and why we made certain choices and the stuff that we've learned that perhaps we can't quite convey on screen because it's not about us, this documentary. Ben, when and how can people see it? And also, if it's not been announced in their country yet, how do we think they can encourage a local broadcaster or streamer to pick it up?
Well, that's a very good question there, Jamie. You've landed all that on my plate. That's very sweet of you. You giggle away on this Zoom call ahead of me.
I can happily contribute if you would like to just say where people in the UK can watch it and when from next year.
Well, no, so in the UK you can watch it on BritBox from the 14th of April, 2022, and then if it hasn't been announced in your country yet, then you need to petition the government and say that it is a basic human right that you should be allowed to watch this. And if there are any channels that you think ought to have it, you ought to get in contact with them, bombard them on Twitter. I think everybody respects Twitter as a way of complaining that things should change. But worldwide distribution rights are available by Abacus Media Rights, I should say. And so if a channel in your country hasn't got it and you think that it really should, then it is available. And so you can tell your channel that they should have it.
Absolutely. So drop a line to Shout Factory in the US. Let TVNZ know down there in New Zealand. And the same
ABC
or 9 in
Australia.
Australia, let them know too. Just get in touch with your local broadcaster or streaming service and tell them you want it.
Jamie, I want to go to Japan, please. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that we get a screening in
Okay,
Japan.
so Paul Hyder, I'm sure you're listening, one of our expat Japanese residents. Please do email, I guess it would be to Hokushinsha, TFC, and tell them you'd like to see it out there as well. We'd love to come out and do a Q&A too.
This isn't just an excuse for me to have a holiday in Japan, you understand?
No, that's just an added bonus. But no, we would really like to bring this to fans everywhere, because I think it will bring a new level of appreciation for your love of Gerry Anderson shows. Whatever point in your life you saw them and whatever you already think of them, and no matter how much you love them now, I think you'll love them even more.
I genuinely think watching this will make you love them more. I think it'll make you watch them all again and go, oh crap, actually they came from, I didn't swear them. We've done really well. We've not sworn a lot on this at all. I think you'll watch it again and I think you'll go, wow.
Yeah. You'll be watching these things through fresh eyes, actually, after watching the documentary.
I've listened to a lot of your podcasts whilst I've been travelling up and down the country filming contributors for you. And you've actually had some very insightful moments on your previous podcasts that have inspired how this documentary goes. So I thank you for doing 178,000 podcasts up until now. Because they've been really interesting.
Well, yeah, thanks to people like Samira Ahmed, Kevin Fong, Matthew Sweet in particular, who have been really fascinating interviewees, but all of our previous interviewees. And you as well, Ben. Thank you for doing this. Ben, if people want to follow you on social media, how do they do that and where can they find you?
They write to me at PO Box. They can, yes, you can follow me on social media, should you desire. I'm quite private on Facebook, so you can't necessarily find me particularly easily on there, but you can find me at Benjamin_Field on either Twitter or Instagram, and I'm reasonably sort of sharing on there.
There you go. And I suspect Ben will be posting some stuff on Instagram and Twitter from our Rolls-Royce journey out to Arnhem and probably some bits and pieces.
Yeah, I share too much. That's my problem. I get in trouble for sharing too much.
They get even more reason to follow. We'll see how we get on. Ben, thanks very much. And you're stuck with me for another few months working on this, so I'll speak to you later.
Thank you, Jamie. It's been a pleasure and a privilege. And as an anecdotal fact for you all out there, Jamie announced to my daughter, my lovely 5-year-old daughter, the other day, that he is now considering himself as her fairy godfather.
Absolutely right. Yeah. And I'm sticking with it.
I expect very good presents at Christmas.
Done. Deal. Cheers, Ben. There you go.
Fascinating.
Thank you, Ben, for taking some time to chat with me. I mean, he and I chat most days currently, obviously, because we're in the edit right now. Yep. You can follow Ben on Twitter and Instagram at Benjamin_Field. Benjamin_Field. And yeah, it's out on BritBox in the UK from the 14th of April. Other broadcasters, streamers to be announced worldwide. And it's going to be a 90-minute feature doc, and I think it's going to be something rather special. It goes way beyond the stuff you've seen before. Very different, very personal, and like I said, I think it'll increase your appreciation and change your perspective on the worlds of Anderson.
Fantastic! I cannot wait. Sounds brilliant.
Nor me. No,
gonna have to though. Now, who's coming up next week? Who do we have in the interview chair?
I think it might be one of yours.
Oh. Oh, is it time to visit the Christmas elf that is Beth Chalmers?
It blooming well is,
Great.
Yeah. So just remind us who Beth is and why you've spoken to her.
Well, now, Beth is say an old friend. We've been a friend for a while. I don't mean to insinuate that she's aged in any way.
Well, she isn't. She's very youthful.
She is. We meet every year or so in a big old country house in Norfolk. But Gerry Anderson fans might well know her as the voice of Kate Kestrel in the Terrorhawks audio adventures from Anderson Entertainment and Big Finish. And you might know her from various other Big Finish productions, Doctor Who and so on. She's played the mother of 4 companions in the Doctor Who universe, which is quite extraordinary. And also, if you're a game player, you will certainly know her voice because she's been lending her voices to all sorts of video games over the years. I think Time Crisis and others that I've completely forgotten about. Now you put me on the spot. Beth Chalmers, yeah. So you'll be hearing from her next week. How
Brilliant.
nice.
Well, I look forward to it, which means it's a week off for me on the interview. So thank you very much, Richard James, and thank you, Beth. What else have you got from around the Podsteron universe?
Well, let's head on over to Twitter, shall we, where people have been hashtagging us, Gerry Anderson Podcast, and tagging me, Richard M. James, I'm Jamie Anderson, and him over there, Chris Dialect. For example, Commander Riley 4 says, to my number one podcast of 2021, the Gerry Anderson Podcast, thank you for keeping me company on Spotify all year long.
Oh,
well,
a great pleasure.
Yeah. Lots of people, I don't know if you've seen this, Jamie, have been posting their Spotify, what's it called? Their wrapped up, or wrapped, that's it. Yes, showing what they've been listening to throughout the year. And many people, their top entry has been the Gerry Anderson Podcast, which is very nice to see. A certain Chris Dale posted this week's episode of the archived Gerry Anderson Randomiser podcast is number 28 from April 2020, and it's one I'm quite proud of for taking the absolute worst episode of any Anderson series and hopefully making something entertaining out of it. Also, puppy. So, have a guess, Jamie. What can he be talking about?
I literally have no idea.
It's the Protectors, isn't it? Isn't it the one? Yes, you could be literally anywhere on the island or whatever it's called.
Yes,
isn't
that with the dog poo.
I'm sure it's
yes,
that one. Yes. Jonathan Spencer says, listening to another fantastic Gerry Anderson podcast, Jamie and Richard always bring a smile to my face with their FAB Facts, interviews, and general chatter. Also, let's not forget the Randomiser General, Chris Dale. JD posted this. What's a sci-fi show I should watch? So far, I've watched Star Trek, and that's actually the full list. To which Jethro responded, you have a long road ahead of you. Try out Gerry Anderson's UFO and Space 1999. And Melivar agreed, saying, UFO, Space 1999, all available on Amazon Prime. Vintage Gerry Anderson at his best. And finally, sci-fi fantasy fans tweeted a happy posthumous birthday to Grant Taylor, who played General Henderson in Gerry Anderson's UFO, besides much more. There we are. There's a name I hadn't heard of. I'll have a look.
Well,
Grant Taylor.
No surprise, because there's so many actors.
Oh, sure.
Behind and in front of the camera and behind the mic who are involved in Anderson shows. I mean, a complete list would run for almost as many pages as our book of Fab Facts, I suspect.
Almost, yes. The never-ending book of Fab Facts, it seems.
Exactly. Now, Richard James, I can see over there that Chris is basically holding up our two voodoo dolls, threatening with a knitting needle to skewer us. So that's got me rather worried. Chris, we're very grateful for everything you do on this podcast and the amazing Randomiser. Are they? Oh, hang on. No, he's coming over.
What?
They're not voodoo dolls at all.
No?
They're little Christmas ornaments to hang on the tree of you and me.
Oh, thank you so much, Chris. That is nice, isn't it?
Hang on, but do you want your own one or do you want me?
No, I want my own one.
Are you taking your own one?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't think that's
I'm not taking yours.
I don't think that's what Chris intended, but okay.
Well, I'm sorry, but I don't want to be reminded of you over Christmas.
How rude! Okay, well, Chris, that's very kind of you. I really appreciate it. Amazing likeness. In fact, I think he's just used a bauble for my head, which sort of makes sense, I suppose.
yes, that's right.
But yes, thank you, Chris. Now he's teased us. I think it's probably time we let him do his randomizer, where he presses the big red button on the randomizer, chooses a random Gerry Anderson episode, and says random things about it with great intellect and humour. Chris, over to you.
This is just not good enough.
Well, yes, your lordship, I'm very sorry to have gotten myself locked in the vault and wasted everyone's time getting me out.
Have to have something done about this vault, Lovegrove. Can't have chattel wandering in and out.
Oh, indeed, sir. I couldn't agree more, sir.
But how about, to make up for all the trouble I've caused, how about I ask you, Lord Silton, to press the button on this?
Take a look at this. Fantastic, isn't it, Lovegrove?
Oh, quite fantastic, your lordship. Indeed so, sir.
Yes, the Randomiser. 3 years old and still one of the most impressive feats of engineering advancement.
One does, of course, deplore change.
Oh, of course one does, sir.
But this machine can take us back to bygone days of classic Gerry Anderson shows from decades past. Now, your lordship, if you'd care to press the button.
Topping job of work, my man. Well, that appears to be it.
Yes, and in just a few moments we'll get a printout with an episode title on it. Here it is.
Did you see that, Lovegrove? Outrageous.
Oh, indeed, sir. Outrageous, sir.
Right, let's see. Oh, okay. Well, we're heading back over to Four Feather Falls today for a spot of trouble.
Now, I wonder what sort of trouble he had in mind.
It's safe as houses.
It could be.
No, it is.
The 4 feathers on this hat are magic. They enable Tex Tucker's dog and horse to speak, and his guns to fire without him even touching them. And now, another exciting adventure from 4 Feather Falls.
So, welcome back to 4 Feather Falls on the Randomiser, and you know what, I've got to say, after a run of HD episodes, I'm back in horrible, grotty, SD, black and white. I mean, the 4 Feather Falls DVDs, they look okay, but sometimes they do look a bit grotty, and even the best episodes on DVD coming to them from Blu-ray, there's no comparison, is there? I want this show on Blu-ray. I think it deserves it. Anyway, this week it's Safe as Houses. Oh, that's interesting. This puppet, Missouri Mike, they've sculpted his lips into a whistling position, which is quite sweet.
By Jove, old bean, you're absolutely right. First today. Well, if I hear a ride, someone's feeling kind of happy.
We'll soon put a stop to that. No one comes to 4 Feather Falls to be happy.
Howdy, stranger. And howdy to you.
Oh, but he has got a nice smiling face, this gentleman.
4 Feather Falls. 4 Feather Falls.
4 Feather Falls?
I must have hit quite a trail since I left little old Missouri. Why, where you heading? Anywheres I can make a sale. Missouri Mike can sell folks things they never even knew they wanted.
Ah.
A general dealer, they call me.
Is this going to be another Crooked Salesman Comes to Town episode?
And that'd be telling.
Oh, for right now, I'm going to say possibly yes, although the puppet looks too genuinely pleasant to be
I'll go out to the wagon.
A villain, but let's see what he's got for sale anyway. The whistle is a nice touch. Oh.
Come on, folks, gather round.
He's selling safes.
Here that mustn't be missed.
Colorful character, ain't he?
You ask me, old bean, I'd say he's a charlatan.
Oh,
for Pete's sake, why don't you talk English just now?
I'm with Rocky there, I think.
What's a Charlie, Tom?
A fraud, my dear chap. An imposter. To put it briefly, one who is not all he's cracked up to be.
Oh, Rocky's ears have got wires on them. I just noticed with the way they're wiggling.
I call it just nonsense.
Well, I reckon we shouldn't judge a guy by his looks.
Yeah. Otherwise, half the people in this town will be out on their ear.
There you are, folks. 18 inches square as solid steel. I've been all over the Union, they've sold like hotcakes. Hotcakes?
This deserves the happy music.
Digestible to me. Figure of speech, old-timer. You can take my word for it. Mike's handy home safes is something no sensible householder should do without. Each one's got his own key, so no one else can open it. And the door's so thick, it'd take dynamite to shift it. You know what?
Tex is watching all this from the door.
Handy home safes? No, can't say I do. Won't rust, won't bust. Mike's safes you can trust. That's what they say, and they're right, too.
I'm not sure if this is deliberate, but the puppet seems to have one finger longer than the other. I think it's meant to be a pointing finger, but it definitely looks longer than the rest of his hand. It's quite unnerving.
Though I've seen that face somewheres before.
Ooh.
You've seen it on a wanted poster.
Well, I'll take a stroll.
I love Rocky's instant total hatred of this guy. It's lovely.
I sure looks okay. The question is, what's it for? What's it for? Why, to keep your money in. The president himself uses one.
I'm afraid you won't make much of a sale around here, mister.
We don't got no money.
Feather Falls keeps their money in the bank. Mr. Jackson's bank.
Oh, yes, indeed. That is quite right.
You've got to get it out of Mr. Jackson's hands.
Too. Thanks to our sheriff. Why, any money that has been stolen has always been got right back.
Once we form vigilante commissions and threaten to get a new sheriff.
Eventually. Why is that so now? Well, customers always right. Happy to make
No, they're not. Having worked in retail, I can say no, they are not. That is the first incorrect rule of being a customer.
Call that real friendly. Set 'em up all round, will you?
Feeling rich?
Today's drinking partners may be tomorrow's customers. Drink up, boys. Just going to get myself freshened up, and I'll be right with you.
I assume I have a room. He didn't ask for one, I don't think. Oh. But now he's got a gun and a mask on, and he's eyeing up the bank.
Dan, I'll send it off right away, Sheriff.
How long do you reckon for the answer, boss?
Couple of hours, I guess.
Probably about 2 minutes before the end of the episode.
Doing anything, special?
Just sending this wire. Why?
Well, I don't wish to worry you, but some rotter's just gone...
There's the rotter.
Come on.
Ooh, with the gunfire, we might even have to upgrade him to a bounder or a cad. Yes, having heard the gunshots, the people in the bar have...
But you better check, Marvin.
It's just stepped out into the street very slowly and casually.
We was all in a saloon.
Yeah, and that's where I'm going back to right now. You got it.
I ain't finished drinking for the day.
Yeah, I fancy the bank being shut up. Maybe there's something in these home-safe things after all.
Everything's okay, Tex.
Our friend Mike has just shot out the windows.
Now, Rocky, suppose you tell me what this masked man looks like.
There's about one in the house, Slim. Yeah,
You just had one.
still in the bank. Have it on me, old-timer. Why, thanks. You heard it, gentlemen.
I want to be completely suzzled by midday.
Nearly got myself shaven.
Someone shut up in the bank.
No. Really?
Oh. His enormous finger is starting to disturb me, actually. Also, his nose is quite large.
Belong? Right. Dusty, you wait here and bring the answer to my office the minute it comes.
Okay, boss.
Now look at it this way. No cook's gonna waste time robbing every house and
The happy, pleasant salesman theme music is back. I like this.
just be safe from one of these.
How much?
I'm assuming this is a Barry Gray track, but it's not on the soundtrack album.
Got yourself a deal. Bring one round to the office, will you?
A pleasure, Sheriff. There's your example, folks. So there's no need to hold back. Tell you what I'll do. As a special offer, I'll give away a free bottle of this Napoleon brandy with every safe I sell. Now, what do you say? I say you're on.
I can't resist free booze.
Already have.
Well, without wishing to be disrespectful, you must be out of your mind.
Suppose you...
Ooh. Rocky's got attitude this week. Oh.
Mad as a hatter. Better keep an eye on him. Well then, what are you going to do about it?
About the shooting. Not much, I guess. Guy got clean away. And anyways, he didn't take anything.
And you yourself said that if any money gets stolen from the bank, you always get it back in the end.
Hold it. Thanks, Dusty. Okay, shoot.
Now, this Missouri Mike, he's breaking the bank.
You got proof?
Oh, you don't understand. Folks are drawing out all their money to keep in these safes.
Oh, that's why Mr. Jackson's annoyed.
You got to stop it.
Reckon folks are entitled to keep the money where they like. Oh, hold it, Marvin.
The Crooked Sellers theme music is playing. Here he comes.
Ah, you're in on it too. Well, I might have known that I was wasting my time. All I can say is I'd expected more loyalty from a sheriff.
A sheriff whose abilities I have doubted multiple times and have driven out of town on more than one occasion. I was expecting better.
Hearted air does seem to be missing.
Looks mighty fine brandy to me. Tell me, why do you shoot up the bank?
Ooh.
I guess you figured it was me, huh?
Sure. You got an explanation?
Oh, all's fair in selling things. Folks want to buy. Sometimes they need kind of persuading. Didn't take from the bank, just from the customers.
Reckon I can't lock you up for that. Wow.
Shooting at the bank? Yeah. Breaking the windows? That's fine.
Sheriff, be seeing you.
Yeah.
Oh. Crash zoom on the bottle. I suspect it may be drugged.
Get rich quick.
Oh dear.
Sleep well.
Yep.
Bet you've never tasted brandy like that before.
He's assuming this isn't the way most days in 4 for the Falls end, with everybody just lying face down in a bottle of their own drink. Oh dear. Dan Morse is out. Jim is out at the saloon.
Criminal, the way folks sleep at their posts. Just criminal.
Where's... Oh, Ma Doughty, who hasn't been seen in this episode. No, not Ma Doughty. Ma Jones. Ma Doughty's the other one.
You had a good day today.
Yeah, Ma Jones hasn't even been in the episode up until this point, but she's been hobbled as well. Is that really all they got Denise to do for this episode? Just lying in front of a fireplace going, oh, oh dear. Where's little Jake? Is he out of it as well? Oh!
Well, I'll be a 3-toed grass lizard.
That's very clever.
Life's full of surprises, ain't it?
So he came to pick Tex's safe.
In a safe.
Tex had put his magic guns in the safe.
Good brandy away.
And he knew not to drink the brandy.
Okay. Inside.
Doggone. How did you find out?
He's taking the whole being rumbled thing remarkably well.
Pockets, too. Seems you didn't tell him there was a second installment to pay.
Ooh.
Oh, Mike.
Yep.
You'll find the key in the door. Lock yourself in, will you? I'm so tired. Oh, Mike.
Yeah.
Throw the key out on the office floor, will you?
You don't think I'm that crazy, do you?
Whoa. There it goes.
Now you've lost the key. It's going to be a long time before we get you out.
Oh, dear.
Oh, well.
We'll have to be out of here by next week when Pedro or Big Ben or Fernando needs to be locked in there. Well, that was safe as houses, and that was another thoroughly standard episode of 4 for the Falls, really. Plenty of enjoyable stuff there. Again, we've seen the whole crooked seller comes to town and is crooked thing before, so it's not unusual in terms of the story, but I did like that Mike guest character. The puppet's very well constructed, and the voice is perfect as well. Nice to see once again all our regular characters making complete fools of themselves, except good old Tex Tucker. He's the only one with his head screwed on right around here. Well, that and his horse and his dog.
Or a lovely bit of comforting 4 for the Falls.
Yes,
well, as comforting as a puppet western can be, but there's just a lovely nostalgia.
It's like a bowl of soup, isn't it? And a nice warm piece of bread and a blanket.
Yes, not vichyssoise though, of course.
Oh God, Lord, no, tomato soup.
Yeah, not a cold and slimy bowl of soup, but a warm,
not like gazpacho or anything. No.
Yeah. Perhaps, perhaps we could create a ranking or a table of the soup that is most like a Gerry Anderson series. What is the Thunderbird's soup? What is the Stingray soup? I mean, obviously that would be a fishy one.
Yeah.
So, Podsterons, if you've got any ideas, I mean, your thoughts would make a great Christmas gift for Richard and I. So please do email them to podcast@gerryanderson.com with the subject line Andersoup.
Oh, I have a feeling we're going to be hearing from Simon Allen, aren't we?
I have no doubt of it. I cannot wait. So, Simon, it's over to you. That's all I've got. Have you got any more?
No, that's it from me, but do keep in touch. Send in your emails, tag us on Twitter, and get involved in the Facebook group, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, for our Christmas episode.
Very Terry Christmas.
Can't wait. Okay, well, until then, have a fantastic week, Podsterons, and we'll be in your ears next week. Goodbye.
Bye now.
Stage 1 complete.
Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
Richard James, I have a Christmas joke for you. Are you ready?
Do you?
Yes.
Yeah, go on then. Yeah, right.
Terry Adlam ain't got nothing on me.
Hasn't he? Well, we'll be the judge of that.
Okay. So, are you aware of why we have angels on top of our Christmas trees?
Why we have angels?
Do you know where the tradition started?
No, I don't know. No.
Well, many, many years ago, in Lapland, it was a few days before Christmas, and Father Christmas was extremely busy, quite stressed. He'd fallen out with Mrs. Claus, all that sort of stuff. It was all a bit frantic and a bit heated.
That's quite a long joke, isn't it?
Don't worry, it's coming to a close shortly.
Okay, go on.
So, yes, all very stressed. He was a bit red in the face, papers everywhere in his office, trying to organise things. And then he gets a knock at the door, and he says, "Come in!" The door opens, and there's an angel there with a Christmas tree. And he says, "What do you want?" And she said, Father Christmas, I've just got the Christmas tree. I wondered where you wanted me to put it. And that's the story of why... Yeah, there you go.
Oh, right. Oh, dear.
Is that what you're expecting?
That joke was told in aid of Give an Old Joke a Home Week. Please, give all you can.
All right. I thought you'd like it. We love a bit of nostalgia here, but there we go.
That's very good. That's very slightly risque, perfect for the end, of the podcast, I think, because no one listens beyond the final.
No, exactly. No one's ever going to hear this, so it'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah, perfect. No, thank you. I did enjoy that. I'll try and remember that and tell my in-laws over Christmas dinner.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll appreciate it. I've got a worse one for offline, but I'll save that.
Right. Okay.
Anyway, have a great week. I look forward to hearing yours next week.
Oh, okay. See you next week then.
Bye.
Bye.
You have been listening to the Gerry Anderson Podcast. Wasn't it fun?
You have been listening to an Anderson Entertainment production.